Hey guys, Dr. Ryan here. This PAT preparation video is sponsored by DAT Booster, the most powerful online resource for the DAT. So the perceptual ability test is the spatial reasoning portion of the dental admissions test. And I want us to tackle the PAT like a series of games. And we're going to unpack different strategies that you can use to win and confidently win these games. So the PAT has 90 questions in total and is made up of 6 subsections that appear in order with 15 questions each. And you'll have 60 minutes total to answer all of those questions. So there are 2 necessities when studying for the PAT. Number 1 is pure practice. Do as many practice questions as you can. And I strongly recommend checking out DAT Booster. I'll leave a link in the description for them. And the second necessity when studying for the PAT is finding strategies that work for you. So my goal with these videos is to present a bunch of strategies, and my hope is that one or more of them will stick with you so that you can be confident on test day with how you'll approach every single problem. You'll know exactly what to expect and exactly the steps that you'll take personally to solve each and every problem. So with that, let's get started. Pattern folding, also called 3D form development, is the section we'll cover in this video. Like all sections, it has 15 questions, and I recommend about 60 seconds per question for a total of approximately 15 minutes on this section, being one of the more time-consuming sections of the PAT. So in this game, a flat pattern is presented, which will be folded into a 3D figure, and you have to determine which of the 4 answer choices is the correct 3D figure. All folds are made away from you into the screen. It sounds easy enough, but in my opinion, this is one of the hardest, if not the hardest section of the entire PAT. So let's unpack some strategies. In figures that have unique shapes, a great strategy is to eliminate answer choices that do not contain that unique shape in the original pattern. So for this question, the flat pattern shows a pretty unique shape. Let's pick this L, for example. And so we can go through the answer choices and look to see which of these has that L shape and which ones do not. So this answer for A, it contains this L, but it adds an extra extension here. And so that can't possibly be correct. So A, we can rule out. B has a U shape, again, with an extra extension off of that L. And so since there's no fold line there, that can't possibly be correct either. So B we can rule out as well. And then C and D both contain the correct L shape. Here it's clear as day. And then on D, that L shape is on the back and then also on the bottom surface. So C and D we cannot rule out from this alone. Another unique shape is this smaller L. And for this shape as well, we have a second one over here. So then we can go back to C and D and see which ones have this smaller L. And we can rule out C because it does not contain that shape. There's no little L anywhere in this shape. Whereas D, we can see one of them right here and the second one right here. So the ones with unique shapes are usually pretty easy and we can breeze through them rather quickly without having to do too much 3D manipulation. The answer for this one is D. As in previous sections, one way to help you better understand the answers is to color the sides with different colors in order to match up the 2D and 3D images, like you see right here. For figures that instead have unique shading as the predominant feature, the strategy is to instead focus on the shading pattern rather than the shapes. So for this question, the figure shows 3 sides that are blank and 3 that have half shaded and half unshaded. As with many of the other sections, process of elimination is a very useful technique here. So we can very quickly eliminate answer B because it shows all 3 of the shaded, unshaded sides sharing a corner. And we know that the pattern has to alternate between shaded, unshaded, and the blank sides, at least for those 4 squares. So the best we can get are 2 of them sharing a corner, like here or here, but we can't get all 3 of them sharing a corner like we see here. But how do we rule out A, C, or D? Well, I want to introduce my favorite strategy of this entire PAT series, and it's called side pairing. Side pairing is a mental tool that I came up with that can be very powerful, especially for these so-called dice problems. These are problems where you have 6 squares that will fold together to form a cube, and you'll definitely get some of these on the exam. Basically, how this works is we can match up all of the sides that will fit together once folded. So the sides that are already connected are obviously going to be contacting each other in that exact orientation in the folded 3D object. But what about this side? So what we do is we start matching up all pieces that share a corner to start pairing up sides. And I think of this as rolling the square. So for instance, we could roll this left square up and rotate it 90 degrees so that this corner is still touching at the same spot. And by doing so, we can get a new perspective on the pattern. But these 2 patterns are exactly the same, and we could roll that square over and over again, and it would still be exactly the same. So this is an incredibly powerful tool, but you need to be careful because we can only do this with a 90-degree arc, like here and like here. It has to be occurring around a shared corner. We cannot do this with a 180-degree arc, for instance. We cannot roll that square over here. We can't roll this square over here. But what we can do is roll this square in this direction, or this square in this direction, etc. Anything around a 90-degree arc is perfectly acceptable. That's very, very important to keep that distinction in mind. Now, you can apply this method to every problem, not just the dice problems, and we'll see how this can help in the more complicated ones. But essentially, every side needs to have a pair. And this makes sense. Every side needs to pair up with another side in order to have a complete 3D folded object with no gaps anywhere between the sides. So we can make these rainbow arcs from shared corners and then branch out from that to get all of the sides paired up with each other. So for instance, back to this first shape on the left, we would first do all of these corners. So we would match up all of the sides that are sharing a corner, and then from there we can branch out. So we would have, for instance, this side match up with this side match up with this side, and then that leaves this side matching up with this side. And so you could do this in order to figure out how every side is paired together. So back to this question. We've rolled the square around. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, scan through the answer choices, and see if any of them match what we've done, particularly in this shape here. So what you may have noticed is that we made this problem way easier, and these 3 squares up here match perfectly with answer choice A. This face with this one, this face with this one, and this face with this one. And so each of those squares match perfectly, and again, we know that those 2 sides are going to touch, so that perfectly matches with what we see in answer choice A. So the answer for this one is in fact A. And here's what the answer choice looks like colored in. Alright, so let's try another one. Go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to work through it on your own first, and then we'll go through it together. So one thing I like to do with these problems is to locate commonalities and group answers together. So I noticed that 5 appears on 1, 2, 3 of these die, and then the number 3 appears 1, 2 3 times as well, as does the number 2, 1, 2, and 3. And so this part of the shape is more high yield than the other part of the shape. So we'll keep that in mind as we're going through. Now let's start line pairing by matching up all of the shared corners first. Remember, always start with that step. So we're going to match those two, these two, and these two. Okay, so we see that it's pretty apparent that 5, 2, and 3 are going to share a corner. And we see that in answer choice A. So that's got to be the right answer, right? Well, we have to check the orientation of the dots. So the 5 is symmetric, so that one really doesn't matter. 2 is pointing towards that dot, and we see that to be the case in the pattern, so that looks pretty good. The 3 is also pointing towards the corner in the pattern, but that's not the case in the answer choice. It would have to be oriented in this direction if that were to be the correct answer. So A, we can rule out from that. How about answer choice B? Well, thanks to our side pairing, we know that 1 is sharing with 2 and is also sharing with 5. So this corner right here will be shared by all 3 of those numbers. So 5 and 1 are both symmetric, so it doesn't really matter how those are oriented. So we really only need to match the 2 properly. And we can see from this pattern that the 2 is not pointing towards that corner, and that's the same here, that it's not pointing towards that shared corner, it's instead oriented away from it. So that perfectly matches up with what we see in the pattern. Now, just for fun, we can look at C and D as well, and for C, we're looking at a shared corner between the 6, the 3, and the 5, and so they're going to be sharing this corner right here. And again, the 3 is oriented away from the corner, and the answer choice, it's pointing right towards it. So again, that is ruled out because the 3 is in the wrong direction. And then for D, the 2, 3, and the 4 share the same corner. And that's also the case. We see that corner being right here, but this time the 3 is pointing directly towards the corner in the answer choice, so this answer is incorrect as well. So you can see how the 3 was the problem in all 3 of these answer choices and the reason why those weren't correct. Even though it was true that those 3 faces in each of those answers did share a corner, the 3 was oriented incorrectly. So the answer for this one is B. So especially when things get complicated, I employ this additional strategy to locate commonalities and group answer choices together, just like we did, and to pick a certain face to keep as a frame of reference. So the first thing I ask is, can we find any similarities among the answer choices? And particularly, is there something that's the exact same between them? Exact same in shape, shading, and orientation. And if so, we would call this the frame of reference. Now, I like to pick a frame of reference that's totally unique, that's a unique side featured in all of the answer choices if possible. Then pair things up and roll things around with the frame of reference at the center until you can fold it into the screen to match the answer choices. So this is one of the few times I recommend looking at the answer choices first. Find a commonality among them and use it as our frame of reference. Find where it is in the two-dimensional pattern, then find what's different among the answer choices and do process of elimination until we get to the right one. So this one's a bit more challenging with a lot of different shapes and shading. So go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to work through it on your own first, and then we'll go over it together. So let's first glance at the answer choices. We got lucky here for 2 reasons. Number 1, all of the 3D figures are in the same exact orientation. That's not always the case for all of these questions, but when they are, it makes things just a little bit more manageable. And number 2, these front 2 faces are the exact same in every single answer. And this helps us figure out that we're either looking at this part or this part of the shape. And in fact, we can single it down to this part here thanks to the orientation of the triangles in this shape. So these two faces together will become our frame of reference. Alright, so let's start line pairing the same as before. So we always start with the corners, so we can pair up all of those sides. We can also pair up these two, and then we'll branch out later as we need to. So just with this information alone, we can rule out answer choice A and B right away. We can see that, of course, this side is referencing this side here. So if we're looking at the right side of this shape, well, we would have this side being the one right here. And so that clearly doesn't line up with what we see in either A or B. So that can't possibly be correct. Of course, this side is referencing this one right here. And again, we're looking at the right side of that shape. And so what do we expect? That the blank one is along the bottom, and then the one with shaded and unshaded triangles is next to it. And we see that that's true in both C and D, and the arrangement of the triangles are correct. So far C and D look pretty good. The difference is this top surface here and here, and how the unshaded and shaded triangles are inverted from one another. So which one's correct? Well, thanks to side pairing, we can figure this out pretty easily. So we've already figured out that those two sides line up and those two sides line up as we climb up the right side of that bigger shape. So what's going to match up with this side here? Well, let's finish side pairing. So we know that those two sides are going to have to match up, which means that these two sides are going to have to match up, which makes sense because they have the same length here. And then these two sides are going to match up. So we figured out that this side is going to be touching this side, and specifically that dark part of the triangle is going to be contacting that top surface. And so we see that to be true in C and untrue in D. And just like that, we know that the answer has to be C. Alternatively, you may have noticed that the unshaded triangle is contacting the shaded triangle right here, which we also see to be true in answer choice C and untrue in answer choice D. So the important takeaway for all of these strategies is to evaluate a point of interest and focus in on that rather than attempting to visualize folding the entire figure, which is a much more difficult and overwhelming task. So by focusing in on a frame of reference, whether that be a unique face or faces that the shape has, if that's a side that the shape has, or maybe even a corner that you're focusing in on, you can break the pattern into more reasonable pieces that are much less overwhelming and allow you to narrow down to the correct answer with confidence. For more practice, sign up for DAT Booster for access to their special problem generators. The pattern folding generator allows you to practice with unlimited questions, and you can manipulate every fold in 3D, which can really help you understand how this section works. You can even customize the type of problem you can work on and the time limit you're given. I'll leave a link in the description of this video for you to sign up for their DAT prep resource. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel for more on the DAT and all things dentistry. A huge thank you to DAT Booster for making this video possible. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.